Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers from around the world, talking with makers from around the world. Here's Jamie Page, Steve Twidell, Chris Cute, and now your host, Richard Morley.
Right, so hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is and wherever you're listening. Joined with me as always, Mr. Chris Cute.
Hi, y'all. How you doing?
Mr. Steve Twidell.
How are you?
The very painful Jamie Page.
Ahoy, hoy.
And our special guest this week with a set of clippers and some pinking shears, it's going to be Dave The Wood Barber. How are you getting on, Dave?
Hello, yeah, great, thank you.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for coming along. I'm sure, I know because I've seen you in the chat, whether you actually listen to us or whether you're just on mute, but I know you kind of lurking in the background of the live chat, so you probably vaguely know what's going on, but if this is somebody's first time listening, apologies. We're going to run through just a couple of quick housekeeping things as always, and then we'll be right back at you, so to speak. So very quickly, shout outs and thank yous from last week. We have Harneal Media, Andrew McQuillan and Trevor, I'm going to butcher this, so I apologise in advance, Merchalski, I think I've got that right, or something close, but thanks, Trev. That's great. This week's podcast is brought to you, as always, in part by Yorkshire Grit, Wood Turners Abrasive Paste, our good friend Chad over at Man Crafting, Pam from Highland Boxes, and also Steve Harneal from Harneal Media, our sort of silent partner that helps us out with the website. If you wish to find out more about us, God forbid you would, but if you do, but also our sponsors as well, check out our website, makersinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors. And all the information is put on there relatively regularly, I suppose, by Jamie. That is right, isn't it, Jamie?
Yeah, sometimes.
Excellent. Chris, do we have any random listener questions from the week?
We do. But I got to say, for a second there, I thought you were going to say, if you want to know more about us, go to www.interpol.com, 10 most wanted. Anyway, all right. Yeah, I do. We have a question. And Lou asked this question a while ago. So, Lou, I apologize that I've been so lazy to get to it. But today's question
is that Lou or is that bathroom?
I was going to say, that's funny, because that's another word for the toilet.
L-O-U, Lou. The gentleman's name is Lou. It's short for Lewis. I'm going to assume, Richard, to stop.
Right. I thought this was another one of your gags and you were going to go back on that whole multi-word thing. But anyway, let's crack on.
God, somebody shoot me now. Lou's last name, I believe, is Logaitis. Lulogaitis or something.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know.
And if I've mispronounced that, Lou, I do apologize. But he has a question for the woodworkers amongst us today. He says, you know that trick where you sprinkle salt on wood glue to stop the wood from slipping around on you, so that you can actually clamp it up and it won't slide and stuff. He says, does that adding that salt to the glue, does that weaken the bond?
No, it makes it taste better.
I honestly think he's looking for a serious answer, Jamie. But if you
depends on what recipe you use.
I think it's a valid question. I mean, my answer to that, Lou, is I don't think it weakens the bond to any significant portion. I mean, you would have to pour a heck of a lot of salt on that glue for it to ever have any kind of effect on it. But to just sprinkle the little amount that you need to put on there to get the boards to stop, sliding back and forth so you can clamp it up, I don't think it's an issue at all. I think that the glue, the water in the glue is going to dissolve the salt, and it, by the time it cures, it's going to be okay. But if other than that, you guys feel differently, then please let Lou know how you feel now.
Can I be my typical?
Oh God, here we go. No, I'm not. No problem.
I suppose is the if you're going to call it. I honestly don't think that is any point in doing that whatsoever at all. I just think it's a total waste of time. I'm sure it works because of the little grippy sort of rough thing, but to me, if you're putting that much glue in a joint that it's slipping and sliding around, you've got too much glue in there. Well, you're already wasting all your money on glue. Why waste even more on salt? If you put a bit less glue on a rub joint and just leave it for just a little while, it will tack up anyway.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you. But let me ask a follow-up question to that. When you guys are gluing up two pieces of wood, let's say you're edge gluing something together, okay? Do you put glue on both sides of the wood, or do you put it on only one side?
I'll just put it on one, to be honest.
I put it on both, and I do rub it, because that's what a rub joint is, isn't it? That's why it's called a rub joint.
Yeah.
When you're making up a panel and go, but rather than you see people go like that, really give it some and get it all the way across. And then if you don't believe me, do that and then take it apart and you'll see that it spreads across, but don't put quite so much on each side.
Right. See, I've only put it on one side. I've always only put it on one side of the wood, just because for what you say. I mean, if I'm putting on a good layer of glue on one side and I immediately join the two pieces of wood together and I give it that little that you're talking about, then it's evenly spread out. And otherwise, if I do put a lot of glue on both sides of the wood and stick it together, I've got nothing but squeeze out to deal with, which means I'm doing nothing but wasting glue. I mean, I put on enough to know that it's going to absorb on this piece and also enough to absorb on the other piece when I marry them together, and that's all that's required. And to be honest with you, clamping, I'm not even going to, this is a rabbit hole, but we can go down, but clamping pressure, people exaggerate the amount of pressure they actually put on a board to clamp it together. You don't need to put 1,000 pounds of freaking clamping pressure on this thing to make the joint work. You really don't.
Yeah.
What glue?
There's another trick that I've seen people do where they get like I forget what you call them over in the States, like a cotton bud or something like that, and they remove a Q-tip and they just remove like a little dab of glue like in certain spots around the wood, and they put a little dab of CA glue, and then that just automatic bond there, and then it just won't move after that, and you just go clamp, and that's the main wood glue is the main glue. Yep. But that just stops it from moving.
Yep.
What do you do, Dave? Do you is this something that you have got any interest in?
Well, really, just put glue on both sides, and if it moves, you just reposition it. That's all I do anyway. I don't bother with any salt or anything to help it adhere or anything like that.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. The reason I ask,
it goes wrong.
You do a lot of wood turning, don't you?
Not as much as what I'd like to, but I do a fair little bit.
Okay,
mostly
so
segments that I do anyway.
Well, that's the other thing. If you're going to segment stuff, then that is going to be more of a rub type joint because you're getting all those segments lined up, etc., etc. And actually, something like that, you really don't want to be sliding around and moving, do you?
Well, no, not really.
So,
but if you always clamp it up against the lathe anyway, it's hard to miss it out anyway because obviously you turn the lathe. The gravity on one will actually help it centralize anyway, so it's not really going to slip that much, and just clamp it a little bit more on the lathe to just push it into it. So you've not got like several clamps all over.
Do you use the lathe as a clamp, like with the tailstock, to push one segment into the other for the layers, or do you do kind of clamps around on the bench?
For the recent projects I've been doing, like the for my mum and the other bowl that I've done for the charity piece, then yeah, I use the lathe for it because obviously it seemed a lot easier to just rotate the lathe. They'll just get into position anyway, so rather than using loads of clamps.
Because also you've got the advantage with that where it's a straight travel rather than like a lot of these clamps that you turn the handle and the little spinny washer thing on the end of the threaded rod kind of will rotate. You know,
Richard, stop being so technical, okay?
We've all seen like the end of like a G clamp. They put on, and then you turn it, and the whole thing goes when they're meant to stop all that. Whereas with the lathe, it's a straight travel. It's a straight clamping action like that.
Yeah. In my opinion, but I'm no expert, so you know.
I think the bottom line for me, Chris, in answer to this is do your work. If you put salt on it and it doesn't weaken the joint, or it hasn't weakened the joint, and you're merrily gluing things together.
Right, and I don't think that salt trick isn't intended when you're doing edge gluing of things. It's when you're taking like a wide board and you're gluing it to another wide board to that. That's to help the two wide boards stay together. It's not for edge gluing at all. Because I mean, can you imagine putting glue and trying on a 3/4 inch thick piece of wood and trying to get salt? I don't think that's what that trick is intended for. But yeah, okay, Lou, that's the answer to your question. I don't think it does, unless you pour the whole carton of salt on top of the glue, then I don't think you're gonna have a problem. I mean, if it helps and it works for you, then I'd say go ahead and do it and don't be worried about it.
Dave, your missus in the chat says you get glue all over her kitchen, but she uses Yorkshire grit to buff up her side. Don't know what that means, so I'm not even going there. But
it's not backside anyway, Steve. It's not that one. It's the countertops. We get glue on the whole countertops and everything, so we just use cleaner and Yorkshire grit to buff it out.
It's kind of funny, really, because Joe from Yorkshire Grit used to have Yorkshire Grit all over her kitchen.
Yeah.
Works wonders on these glossy countertops.
Somebody just muted Steve.
The reason I did that is because I wasn't sure whether it was Steve, but somebody was starting to sound like an obscene phone call, and I think Steve might have lost his little foam thingy. So nothing.
Yeah,
personal.
it's me. So up yours.
No, that's fine.
That's your behaviour.
Is your refrigerator running? Better go catch it. Anyway, all right, Steve, come on, let's go.
Steve lost both of them. No, that's fine. Just be aware of it, Steve. That's all I'm saying. Oh, it's frozen now. Oh no, there's his connection gone back.
No, he was just extremely positive that he wanted to get that message across.
So, who's going to kind of kick off this this masterclass of questions for? Oh my God, he's off on one, isn't he?
You're talking. You're
Is there a way to like hide the screen of him somehow?
Well, yeah, there is, but
There we go.
we won't get him back for next week's show.
Yeah, worry about that next week. We could put the advert out now. CV's in by Tuesday. We could get somebody in by the weekend.
Dave, let's talk about you. This podcast is actually titled Dave the Wood Barber, so maybe we should get to talking with him, Richard. I mean, what do you think?
Well, that was what I was going to say, is who's going to kick off the question session for Dave?
Go for it, Richard. You're on a roll. Go for it.
Where do we? I mean, I think I might be the only person that's actually met out of not the only person anywhere, but like out of us lot that's actually met you in person.
Well, Chris did, but he ignored him.
I was going to bring that up subtly, Jamie, but yeah, I think Chris didn't he? I was going to say blow you off, but that might come across because we are an international.
Wait a minute. That has a totally different meaning here in America. That's what I was worried about
that. Dave, did Chris ignore you at some time in the past?
To put it mildly, fuck yeah. Yeah, he did.
Okay. Oh, right, fine, fair enough. But Chris, I'm assuming it wasn't intentional.
I have no recollection of that ever happening, and so I mean, no, of course it wasn't intentional. I mean, who the hell am I to turn my nose up on anyone? Plus, I can guarantee you, just by looking at Dave, I can tell he's bigger than I am. I tend to respect people that are larger than I am. I would not blow off some guy who can kick my ass.
Pretty much everyone except for Joe, I think, if memory serves.
Well, yeah, I can ignore Joe. That's not a problem.
Dave, I think I'm the only one of us lot that's met you in person and been polite to you. I think that we'll go down that road because you were at Maker Central last year, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
But I certainly didn't bump into you, and I'm not, obviously Chris tried, or you tried to bump into Chris, but. What got you into making? I mean, because we sort of, I think, had this chat up in Alnwick, but it was just the two of us, and that makes for a very dull listening experience. So, do you want to just kind of recap through that and tell us where little Dave was, with his first pair of scissors and comb and all the rest of it, and also where does the barber thing come in that story?
Oh. Barber thing comes in because I'm actually a qualified barber as well, which I've been for about 22 years. So, but as for the little mini-me past thing, I'd say I was always interested in tinkering, mainly breaking things, and I used to make little tents in the back garden. I used to make tents from the bed and stuff like that, and like make little rooms and little hidey holes and stuff. And then I got into, as I got older, school introduced like the higher state of woodwork for me, like using bandsaws, spindle molders, and etc. So kind of like went from there really.
Okay, so you did woodworking at school?
Yeah. You had little table, chairs, stuff like that. Yeah, mean, it wasn't anything like using a lathe or anything like that. But that's just one of the things I could just looked at and just like, I could do that. I at least tried anyway. So, yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so I'm trying not to think about the fact that you just said you got into school, because you made it sound like this huge accomplishment. So presumably you went to school like everyone else, rather than, you know, you actually got into school rather than being.
It was a struggle.
I know things are a little bit different up north, but yeah, we'll kind of circumvent that. So woodworking at school. What happened after school? Were you the kid that all your mates went, Can you do us like a head shave? Or how?
I was taking the piss out of because I started hairdressing first. I worked on a hairdresser's when I was 14 on a Saturday job, and from there you get the piss took out of you and everything, like, you know, all like getting what can I do with this? Just things like that. And I just thought, you know what, screw you, and I just kept on doing it. But then I got bored of the hairdressing side, so I started doing the barbering.
And serious question, deadly serious. I'm not one to, you know, belittle anybody else. Well, not behind their back at least. What is the difference between hairdressing and barbering? Because there is a very distinct difference.
Well, aside from the obvious of like male and female, but obviously with men's hair, it's a lot harder to hide any mistakes if you make mistakes. Whereas with women, being like long hair, mainly long hair, anyway, not all of them now. If you make a mistake, you just cover up with a bit more hair, which I've done in the past anyway. But as for men generally, apart from now, because I was like, it's male grooming, etc., and it's just a case of where it's a lot more closer because you clipper work and etc., and just like more intricate and just general things like that, really.
Okay, so pretty much just the length of the hair then.
Well, there's different aspects. You've got like length of the hair, what they want, the shape of the head, because I mean anybody can ask for a certain haircut, even like women's can ask for a certain style, but you've got to try and talk them into it, where because some hairstyles won't suit shapes of faces, head shapes, etc. So you've got to try and talk them into what would suit them and make them better than what they are before they actually start the treatment.
Yeah, Richard, I think you can boil it down to this. If you walk into a barber and you ask him to put your hair in curlers, you're in the wrong place. You're looking for a hairdresser, okay? If you walk into you really want the barber to go ahead and say, "Can I cut your hair for you?" "Yes, you can, sir." "Thank you very much," and he'll brush the neck off, and when he's done, and that's a barber.
There's a deadly serious kind of.
I know. I get the question. I'm just saying.
I'm trying to relate this to sort of our environment in a way, because. I mean, it might not necessarily be specific. Well, I mean, it could be specific to all makers. Somebody you know might say, "Oh, can you make me this?" And you know, for Chris, it could be a pen or a chopping board. Jamie, it could be a scroll saw portrait. You know, Steve, it could
need to come up with another analogy for me, if you don't mind. But go ahead.
But yeah, any of us makers, and probably anyone listening as well, they must almost certainly know somebody who's come up to them and said, "Can you make me this?" Yeah. And you've either gone, "Yeah, okay." I mean, I get customers ring me up, "Can you do this? Can you do that?" And you either say, "Yes, you can," or "No, you can't." But I can't imagine going into. I'm sure it happens, or it could at least happen. I can't imagine going into the hairdressers or the barbers or whatever you want and going, you know, you sit down in the chair and the first question is, "How do you want it?" And you go, "I want it shorter than what it is right now," or whatever. And the guy going, "Oh no, I can't do that. No, I can do you." Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's a bit sort of Well, I'm thinking it must be really hard for them. Someone going, "I want it like this," and Dave going, "Oh, I've never done that before."
I guess if someone goes in, they've previously had it styled, but they go in with, say, a hat on, for example, and they go in and it's all messy. Well, you never knew how it was styled before, and they go in and they say, "Right, I want it 2 inches off all over." It's sort of like, well, okay, I'll take 2 inches off, but how was it styled? You know, it's sort of like, was it a comb over? Was it slick back? Was it what? So it's kind of like, well, if you want 2 inches over the back, then it's got to be, I don't know, slicked over or done over at the back or whatever. It's got to be done a certain way. It's got to be cut a certain way, I'm presuming.
Well, Dave, let me ask you a stupid question so we can get away from the whole hair thing and say, does any of this relate to what you do with wood? Because I doubt you pick up a piece of wood and go, you could use a perm. I mean, that's just not happening. I mean, so can we get back to talking about Dave in his shop?
Well, it's in his name.
Well, I mean, kind of. It's pretty much the same as where you're creating something, aren't you? I mean, like you're creating an image for a person by doing barbering or hairdressing, and you're creating something by wood. And then I suppose in a way, cutting hair has helped me along the line quite a lot because you know exactly how much to take off and how much not to take off and etc.
That makes sense. No, it makes
I've
sense.
got to ask the question. I'm sorry. How many ears have you clipped accidentally?
Say that again.
How many ears have you clipped accidentally?
None, but I've cut off one on purpose.
Liar.
How many times have you cut hair and all accidentally, like the guards have come off or something, and all of a sudden you've taken like a zero off the back of someone's head?
That's happened twice.
I just want it noted. I just want it noted that I tried to get the conversation off of hairstyling and back on, but it obviously did not work.
All right, then. Boxers or briefs?
Commando, mate, all the way.
That's my man. There you go.
There you go.
That's a free spirit right there. Yep.
Showing the short and curlies, which means manscaping.
You're the wind beneath my legs. Okay. Yeah.
Dear, oh dear, oh my life. Well, let's try and get it back above the waistline, above the shoulder line, and into the the making, as it were. Because you do a lot of turning. To my mind, I mean, you're bound to correct me, but I know you. I know you as a turner. I mean, you do other stuff as well. But talk us through your workshop, because you have a workshop in terms of size that actually puts Chris's workshop to shame, don't you? Because you don't have you're not limited. Right.
He has all of outdoors.
Exactly. I mean, that's a vast space, isn't it?
Right, I can put it right. It's it can be a bit of a ball ache. Because at the moment we're in the kitchen. I've got my other part of the workshop in my bathroom. A bit down at the bottom of the stairs, the cupboard upstairs, the spare bedroom's my tool room, and also a little corner of my son's bedroom has got tools there like me steel chop saw, etc.
Dave, are you married?
No, I'm not. No.
But do you have a significant other?
Aye, yeah.
Hang on to her. Because if I even thought about putting things in the kitchen and over here inside this house, I would no longer be married.
And also, Dave's kid's going to grow up as like I think a very common sense blue job making sort of DIY type person. Because I've just got this vision of him at the moment. He's like, opens up his toy cupboard, there's Lego bricks, Power Rangers, chop saw, screwdrivers, video game console. It's like,
it's an interesting decor you got going on there, brother.
You must have been in our house before, mate. Yeah.
But because you actually don't have a dedicated workshop, do you? And I think for me, that because I know exactly how you feel, because not so long ago I was in exactly the same place. I had a rickety old conservatory, not the conservatory that people know, but another one that was timber and rotten and had plastic roof and leaked, and there was just a pile of toolboxes in one corner that had to be opened up, packed away, opened up, packed away. You get up in the morning to do something and there'd be a bowl of cat food and next to it, and it was just a nightmare. But you still
sounds like my new workshop.
Yeah.
But you still get up and get on, and you don't. I think once I've heard you moan, and that was because of some seagulls or something.
No, it was it was sparrows, because the shat all over the outside workbench.
And that's the only time I've ever heard you, properly like that. But you just get on with it. And so many people, you just have to read the comments in YouTube. Oh, I could do that if I blah blah blah. And you could so jump on that bandwagon and probably lead it. but you don't.
Well, to be honest, I mean, there's no point. I mean, it's my choice. I'm living here. It's my landlady's choice that she don't want a big shed put in the garden. So it's there's nothing I can do, and I'm not going to sit back and just give up and just not bother doing anything because I feel like I write crap by doing that. So there's literally been no point. So you got to just keep on doing, just do what you can and carry on.
Do what you do what you can with what you got. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I applaud you for that, Andy. That's a good mentality to have.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, you're kind of the poster child for just get on with it. There is no excuse. Get on with it.
Exactly.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, so you do. What are you working on at the moment? Because you've got some really cool.
Working on my bathroom at the moment.
Are you remodeling, or what are you doing?
Well, the bathroom itself, since we've moved in, I mean, I'm not going to go into like some sort of horror story or any like groveling story, but since we moved in, there's always been a bit of a bad smell in the bathroom. Not by any sort of like people going in there and coming out and they've got that sort of thing. It's like an old mossy smell. So it's always bugged me, and we discovered that the actual floor, what the bath and the toilet and the sink was actually sitting on, in the bathroom with there being a bath in there, Chris. Then there's always been like a rotten smell, and the floor was actually all rotted, so we had to take it all up, and it was all mouldy, and it
was your subfloor the problem. Because I mean, was it the underlayment? Because I mean, did you have tile floors, or what kind of floors did you have in your bathroom?
The base floor is concrete, and then they put on there's like chipboard over here, what they use for loft.
Right. So, as an underlayment, right? Okay.
Yeah. Then they use that, and then they used just normal standard laminate flooring. So obviously, any moisture would get through the cracks into the bottom, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, get into the concrete, seal the concrete, then redo your floor. Yeah, I guess that is the answer. I mean, I ask only Dave because I had to remodel both the bathrooms in this house when I first moved in here, and it was a nightmare. I don't mind telling you, it was a nightmare.
Yeah, it's I mean, limited space as well because we have well, unbeknownst to the landlady, I've extended the bathroom a little bit because there's only like a 1,500 bath in there, which is just tiny.
Yep.
So that's it's got a full-size bath now.
As most homeowners know, there are two rooms in your house that will cost you an arm and a leg to remodel, and that is one is your bathroom, and the second is your kitchen.
We've already done the kitchen.
Yeah, living rooms, dining rooms, things of that nature. Well, they can be remodeled very cheaply compared to redoing a bathroom and redoing a kitchen. It's expensive.
I agree.
Yeah, so I mean, it took me quite some time to get it done because I was being chintzy about the money I was willing to let go to finish this thing because the bill just kept adding up. I go, I live in the woods. I can take a piss outside. I really don't need to be spending this money. It's like but my wife's going, I'm not gonna go outside. You better finish this. Okay, I'll finish it. So, spend the money it was, but yeah, I know. I hear you. I can totally relate. Been there, done that.
You've been promised me an indoor toilet for the last 20 years.
Take that thing with the half moon on the door down because I'm not going out there. Yeah, I mean, because let's be honest, it gets cold here in the winter.
I know we were, you and I, Dave, were chatting about this up in Alnwick during the road trip, and also the other week when we had a quick hangout to test your connection and everything. But you're basically every landlord's wet dream of a tenant, aren't you? For the way you look after the property for them and do all the little jobs. Do you want to? Are you happy to kind of talk a little bit around this? I don't want to get you in trouble, just in case.
No, screw it. No, it's fine.
Okay.
It's like, well, I'd like to think so, Richard, but it's one of the things where every time we've done something, I mean, we've remodeled the kitchen completely. We've redone this living room. There was no fire in here, but now we've got a big log fire. We've got a fish tank built into a wall where the TV goes. All the walls, like I've done all the walls properly the way they should be, put lights and stuff like that. Partition walls in the house where they should be. And each time I've done that, I've been a bit silly because she's increased the rent every single time. I've not learned. I've just continued to just do bits and bits and bits. So yeah, every single thing she's just increased the rent on. So,
I had
Time I started paying her a bill.
I had a landlord once, and he and I had an agreement. Any improvements that I did to the apartment or the space that I was renting, any improvements that I did, and the money that I had to spend to do them, I was able to take that off my rent on that for a month. So if I went out and spent $600 to redo cabinetry or something of that nature, I could take that off my rent for that month, and he was fine with that because I was improving his property. He didn't care. Yeah. If you don't have a landlord like that, then shoot him.
I can absolutely 100% get behind your reasoning and your logic for doing that, because we all want to live in the nicest possible place that we possibly can. Absolutely get that. But at the same time, just a small part of me is thinking this. You're not even kind of doing it for you long term. We're not talking about I don't really like this color, I'll repaint it. We're talking structural, we're talking kitchens and bathrooms and big ticket projects that you're doing for somebody else.
Yeah.
And presumably at some point in the future you'll move on to, are there any houses up there for sale that are in a bit of a rag order? Because I'm thinking about buying to let up in that area.
And would you consider moving?
Yeah. Don't worry,
Dave, when you do the remodeling, is it? I kind of get the sense that it's kind of more of a reason for you too to kind of have something more to do around the house, and it's more kind of for something to do or therapy or whatever, to have something to do rather than just sitting and looking at the walls. But is there that part of it too, not just about making the place better?
Well, yeah, obviously, because you don't want to sit down and be lazy for the rest of your life, do you? So yeah, obviously, we have got our view of what we want, but I suppose if I didn't do it, then I won't be doing anything. That is one of the main things.
That's kind of where I was heading with it. Yeah.
Apart from the side of falling through the floor because the floor joists need putting in and stuff like that. But yeah.
And there's nothing wrong
floor?
Yeah, that's not a problem if you're on the first floor. Who cares? If you're on the second floor, then you may want to take attention. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with that.
Just put a lump of 3/4 ply down and stick your lathe on it.
There you go. We've got a few questions from out in the chat, Dave. So first one comes from Dave G Designs. He says, what do you want to try that you've seen someone else doing?
Oh, good question, Dave. It'd have to be casting, like aluminium or something, and also forging. Those would be the two things that I do want to do. I have done a bit of forging, but that was just no, it wasn't anything like that great sort of thing. So yeah, it's just mainly casting and just proper forging.
No, I've seen what you forged, and I think you need to give yourself a bit more credit.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? I think aluminum casting is really interesting too. Depending on
aluminium.
Aluminium casting.
Aluminium.
that cheaper metal stuff. That's actually the stuff that melts easy. That's actually really interesting because I've seen a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and different casting molds that you can make. Some are one-time molds and some are forever molds. Anyway, that interests me too. So I can see you doing that. And I think and Dave, I could be wrong, but I think that you can get started with the homemade forge to melt the aluminum pretty cheaply.
Oh yeah, you can buy the bricks. Lack of a better phrase than what they actually known for is the actual heat bricks. You can spend about 30 quid. Then a barrel from anywhere, which can cost you from a tenner from a garage, and then just build up there really. So yeah, it's quite cheap in that respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. There's one from Jurassic Mark Christopher. He said, "What is favorite type of project?"
Well, Mark, any single project that I succeed in, and I've got no preference.
There you go.
Getting through this one's a bit of a task, but yeah, anything really, anything that I succeed in.
Fair dues. Rubo Arts wants to know what's your favourite build to date?
Rubo, my favourite build would have to be the urn that I made for my mum. I don't actually have it here, so I can't show it. But if you go on my Instagram or anything, then you'll see it there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I gotta ask you this question. Was it the mom an urn for your mom's ashes?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
How hard was that for you to make? Emotionally.
Well, the thought process behind it was quite difficult because I made it once and then I had to remake it because I got wrong measurements off my dad. But yeah, it was a hard thing to actually come up with and think, well, this is my mum's new home, that sort of thing. It was emotionally, it was quite difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, I asked that because I was asked to make an urn for an ex-brother-in-law of mine, and I simply couldn't do it. I mean, that hit too close to home for me. I was like, you know what, I can't do that. And it's not that I didn't want to do it. It's just that, man, that would have been hard. I mean, for me, I mean, I'm kind of emotional as it is, but I mean, don't let that get around. But it's just, but that would emotionally, that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, Chris. But I mean, like, if you think this way, I mean, in a way, once you do it and you succeed in it and you accomplish it,
yeah,
then all that goes away. You get a sense of pleasure knowing that you've actually gave them something what you couldn't give them in life. So.
No, and you're doing it with love. So that their final resting place was made with love, and I mean, I get that, and that's probably the way that I should have looked at it. But at the time, I was so caught up in the loss that I just couldn't wrap my head around doing it, and so I had to pass it off to somebody else, and that's probably that's a mistake on my part most likely, but I just found it too hard. That's why I had to ask, and so I didn't mean to bring everybody down, but I was curious because I haven't been asked, and he actually having done it, I didn't want to feel alone.
Well, it took me 9 years to make it, Chris. So
okay, all right, I got you.
I'm kind of glad you said that, Dave, because that makes me feel a whole lot better because I'm only on 2 years at the moment. So 9 that does make me feel a little bit better. But I have a question also. Does anyone know how to put someone in timeout in the questions? Because Jim got kind of overstepping the mark, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I know exactly what question you're on about. In actual fact, I'll ask it now. Dave, do you know how to build a step?
Believe it or not, yeah, it's quite simple. It's
really simple.
Yeah, I mean, once you've got the sides, you can do the sides like a stair sort of way, like the old Tetris sort of style, and then just put 2 pieces of wood in it, make the centre of it just a bit more secure, and Bob's your uncle, you've done a step. Half an hour job, that's it, really.
If hashtag make the bloody noodle step, Richard.
There's one from arguably Chris's favourite maker in the community, James from Morton Make. The reason is because he makes his own beer.
That's my man.
He says, do you have something you'd like to learn in 2019?
I'd like to learn patience.
Start scroll sawing.
That comes with age.
No, actually, I have done a bit of scroll sawing. I cut little holes out for my radiator pipes to come through my bathroom, so that's accomplished. That was a great project, and probably never even picked the scroll saw up again. I'm not saying it's boring, but yeah, it's boring.
A couple of holes. Try doing a project with 700 odd holes.
7.
Yeah, Jamie. No, it's not about you.
Like 700 holes. Oh, but yeah.
We've got a question as well from Miss Anna B.
Mm-hmm.
She says, what sort of wood do you like to work with the most?
I like working with mahogany. Mahogany and cherry. Those are my favourite ones.
Is that easy? Is that? And I assume you know it. Is that easy wood to turn? I mean, is that like a one of those woods that you put on the lathe and it cuts like butter and it's really nice, a pleasure to work with, or is it just because or you're used to using mahogany with flat work? I mean, what's your experience with it?
Well, I've never used mahogany with flatwood. I've turned it I've turned 2 vases with mahogany, but I wouldn't say it's like a butter, but it's nice to turn, but also the finishing looks beautiful as well. So that's mainly those. Same with cherry.
It can be dusty as hell though as well when you're turning it.
When you're sucking half of it, you're not really bothered about the rest anyway.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Well, if you go out, if you take your lathe outside, Steve, nobody you won't mind. That's what Dave does.
That's where I'm going wrong. Yeah.
Nature's dust collector. That's it's as efficient as it. The filter changes are really easy, aren't they?
Right. So we got one more for the time being. From PJ Galati. I think that's how you pronounce the last name. Goes, what is Dave's favourite thing to make?
Favorite thing?
I like making mess because Joe's probably cleans it up after. But as for the project, I can't really answer that because I'm pretty much, I've not got any favourites. If I get anything in my head and that's it, I just do it anyway. So.
Well, it would almost require you to make the same thing more than once. To say that this is my favorite thing to make. It just kind of the question leans to people that kind of tend to make the same things over and over again. I couldn't answer that because very rarely do I try to make the same thing twice. I say that, but let's be honest. I screw up a lot, so I end up trying to make the same thing like several times, but I only complete it once. And then after it's done, it's like I'm not going to go back and put myself through that hell again. It's done. It's over with. Let's move on and make something else.
Yeah.
I enjoy making things for people, for other people. I do enjoy that. Like past ones, like Millifoot pens or
I've got one of them.
Like that. Yes, you have.
Millifoot bowls.
Yep, Millifoot bowls.
Tool rest.
Yep. The list is endless.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually got a story. I was doing a live feed and I was struggling with my banjo on my lathe, and the screw bolt that holds the tool rest was just loose all the time, and I couldn't tighten it. I was using a pair of grips all the time. And lo and behold, a couple of weeks later, after I did that live feed, a parcel arrived from Dave, and he'd welded me up a new screw that fitted perfectly into that and fixed that problem. So that's the kind of guy Dave is. If he sees that he can help you, he'll do it without even thinking about it.
That's awesome.
I was gonna chip in something fairly similar around the YouTubes, but you're absolutely right there, Steve, because very similar story. I was doing something on a live stream. I was making some bowl sander things, spinny sand. Anyway, I needed some sticky Velcro, so I just went and ordered some on eBay. I was waiting for it to arrive, and a couple of days later, unbeknown to me, a big parcel, well, not a big parcel, but a relatively big parcel arrived from Dave with a box of God knows how many hundreds of meters of sticky Velcro just in a box. And I literally needed about a 2-inch square, and he sent me about 200 meters of the stuff. So I was absolutely blown away because. So
it's now available on Richard's website.
Oh yes, indeed. But no, literally, it's just one of those things that just completely blew me away. And then just before Christmas, the same thing happened, and Dave sent both Kat and I a pen that he'd made in the post, and it was all nicely wrapped up in like Christmassy paper and sparkly little pen things. I believe Joe made. Is that right, Dave?
You guys are just you guys are just telling these stories to make me feel bad about snubbing him at Maker Central, because because I could really use some Dave. I could use some Coca-Cola and some walnut, I understand.
You've got to be nice to him first.
We've had those secret hangouts, Chris, talking about.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, Chris the snob. Yeah, that's the rep I have. No, that Dave, that just speaks to your heart, man. Apparently, you've got a very big heart. So good for you, buddy. I mean, that's.
I call it a swinging brick, but yeah, possibly.
But it's you're only really one third, but one half of the Maker team in your house, aren't you? Because I think it would be rude not to at least mention your lovely other half, Jo, because I believe, is she on YouTube? She's got a YouTube presence in terms of a profile, but does she put video? I don't think she put videos out, does she?
She's got, well, no, not the same way I do. She's got a couple of videos on there, but it's more to do with her shyness, where she won't actually record herself doing it. She does most of the things in polymer clay, and she tried to knit me milliput at one point, but I soon put stops to that and bought some polymer clay to work with. But yeah.
Have you got a yellow milliput that you can give her?
Well, I have, yeah, but she just turned out and said it's too nasty of a colour, so she didn't want it. So you can't give the stuff away.
Shocking.
Well, there's an advert if ever I heard one. So, what sort of thing, Jo?
Yeah, she was actually saying that in the chat earlier on that she how much she loves and adores you, and how much she enjoys cleaning up your mess
with Yorkshire grit.
Yeah.
while she's getting you to rub it in her side.
Yeah.
Steve, we're not going there.
The advantage now is that there's this product that's been made, a Yorkshire grit product saver, and she won't actually use as much now. So yeah, whoever made that, good on them.
Yeah,
I've heard he's an amazing engineer.
I won't say that, but yeah.
I've heard the product's amazing, but the bloke that invented it is a bit of a knob.
Love you too, JP.
Don't sit on the fence, will you, Jamie? Mind those splinters and all that. Tell us what you really think. But no, Dave, I was going to say with Jo, because Jo being a maker and you being a maker, and both of you kind of, joking aside with the whole Jo enjoys cleaning up after you and blah, blah, blah. The fact that she gets that you enjoy doing something that makes a horrendous mess is a rare treat. And I know, like Chris being married and with your wife, and Jamie with Vicky, and Steve with his zoo, you all have partners that kind of accept, I guess. But you and I, Kat's the same. You and I, Dave, are in a very, very special place, because to have somebody that actually gets what we do, not just accepts it, not just puts up with it, but actually gets it, is a very rare and special combination. And if there's anyone listening that actually kind of is in that same boat, they'll genuinely understand the differentiation between someone like
and don't take it for granted.
Absolutely,
because I'm telling you, I mean, I would love it if my wife wanted to come out in my shop with me and spend time with me, because we would spend a lot of good time together, as opposed to me doing my thing and her being in another part of the house doing her thing. We're not together doing things together. I mean, I've tried to get her into just wood turning. Come out here and make some pens. She just has zero interest, and she gets what I do, and she gets why I get enjoyment out of doing what I do, but she has no interest. But when you have a mate like you do, Dave, and obviously you do as well, Richard, it's just, man, that's don't take that for granted, because that's special. It doesn't happen a lot, because there's not a lot of makers out there who have whether you're male or female, who have a significant other that enjoy what you do, or at least have an understanding and want to go out there and do it with you.
Yep, totally agree with that.
I'll try and go and say, Jo, my feet are cold. Come get me some socks.
Well, it goes beyond get me another beer. I mean, trust me on that one.
Will Jo be coming to Maker Central with you?
No, I'm going to be a Lone Ranger this year.
You're on your own. Did she come last year, or were you on your own last year as well?
It was me and my son last year.
Okay, good. I didn't want to I hoped I didn't snub her too. Thank God she wasn't there.
No, my son was really upset that you ignored him as well, Chris. I mean, he was devastated all day, really.
I'm your number one fan.
I'm going to pay for this for a very long time. I can tell this I did that right now. It's just not. Thanks. Yeah, great. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, look, I'm going to say to you publicly, Dave. I know I said this to you when we kind of tested the Hangout the other day, but if at Maker Central the same thing happens where I'm talking to somebody, it doesn't matter who it is, and you happen to walk past and see me, tap me on the shoulder as you're walking by, if it's not convenient to stop, and wave and say hi. And I would say that to anybody at Maker Central. If there's somebody,
especially if we're live doing the podcast.
Yeah, especially if it's the hotel lobby and we're live doing the podcast. Come back up and get in front of the camera and just say hi, Richard, right in the middle of the podcast. I mean, I think that's perfectly acceptable.
But there is a condition. You have to say hashtag build the bloody noodle step.
And then
everyone that sees Richard at Maker Central say hashtag build the bloody noodle step.
And then follow that by telling Richard Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Did you guys? Yeah. I'm gonna. Did you see
and
that New Year's text?
An hour about scroll sawing.
I got. This is what I'm talking. On Monday of this week. What was anyone listening? What was the date to this Monday? I got a text message from a company saying Happy New Year to all our customers. We've got lots of deals on. We're doing this. You can buy this. You can buy that. You can buy that, and they get a free appointment. That is what I'm talking about. They don't care about my new year or how happy it was. They purely want to sell me something. That's all it is. And that's what I despise about that.
Happy New Year, Richard.
Happy New Year, Richard. We love you.
You
Happy New Year, Richard. Steve's got product savers available.
You know what? While we're there, because before we get to shout outs today, Steve, plug your product savers and tell people where they can get them. I mean, I've seen you posted on Facebook here and there, and Richard's holding one up right now to show people, but take the time. Promote your product, buddy.
I've got product savers for sale.
God, you're good. I couldn't have said that any better.
I have product savers for sale for any kind of waxes, finishes, Yorkshire grits, any kind of stuff like that, and they go into your tub like this. You can't, for those of you that are on the camera, you won't see this on the podcast, obviously, but they go inside your Yorkshire grit, and they have two purposes. First purpose is that it reduces the amount that you use. Because it stops you from digging the cloth or whatever you're using into it and taking chunks of it out. And it also stops the crap and shavings and stuff going into the product, because you can just lift it off, tap it off and put it back. So it has multi-uses, and they are available at templeboyturnins.com in my shop for a great price of only €4.
That's not bad.
Plus post and packaging.
Are you talking about your? Is it confirmed about your selling your location at the event?
It wasn't, but I can mention it. I will be on the Yorkshire Grit stand selling my product savers.
And presumably that's specifically the product saver for the 90
Yorkshire
millimeter.
The 90, the same size tub as Yorkshire Grit, so they're 96 mil, I think they are, those ones. Okay. But there is product. There's different versions for different size tubs for all kinds of. There's loads of different product out there, wax finishes and all kinds of stuff, and I can make them to fit any size. So if you have a particular tin of product that you would like a product saver made, you can get in touch with me anywhere. Temple Boy Turn-ins, and I can arrange to get that made for you and sent out to you.
Awesome.
For the same price. Yeah.
I've got a big vat. It's like a 4-foot diameter drum. Can you?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
Which is where Kat is going to lock you away if you don't make her the damn step.
No problem.
I'm going to cut out little circles and sell them on my own website.
Yeah.
For €4, the essential design.
Yeah.
Richard,
no problem.
Happy New Year.
But
shut up.
It will be made out of wood, plywood, because it's something
and
that
it'll be about that high, and it'll be
square. Yeah. But yes, It's a new venture and it's going very well. I had lots of orders and I'm very delighted. Thank you to all the people that have supported me with it, because it's brilliant when you do launch something like that. You're a bit, will it work? But so far, so good. People have been very good. Thank you.
I'll be 100% honest and positive, actually, Steve. I know I've kind of shunned you publicly about the whole, it's easier because I don't put wood shavings in my pot. I don't. But what I do, because I'm cack-handed, is I get my little bit of paper and I go and put a massive blob of it on, and then what happens is it goes on the wood and it goes and smacks you in the face, spinning round. So that, just from the point of view of I'm not an idiot and I don't drop it, but it does save me loads of grit. So
be careful now. Be careful.
All right. Before I get sorry that I asked Steve to promote this, because we've gone on longer than most Jamie pages so far.
Jamie Page.
Sorry, Dave.
Maybe we should get into that.
Yes, let's do the old
Jamie's page.
Right. So the first one is Pat Lap finally got to 25,000 subscribers.
Woohoo!
Nice job,
So,
Pat.
well done, Pat. The second one is we're still selling the Maker's Rhapsody t-shirts.
Yep.
And the links for that is over on the website, as well as getting £20 off the checkout price for stickers, whether you're going to Maker Central or not.
That's in the description as well, if you're looking for it.
Yeah, and that'll also be posted when we repost the podcast on Wednesday. And obviously, mentioning Maker Central, that is obviously coming up in May as well. So to check out more details about that, go to makercentral.co.uk and find out more information about that. My shout out goes to, he's actually come from Instagram, not YouTube this week. It's a girl called Laura. The Instagram page is Law Woodcrafts. It's LAU Woodcrafts. She does all kinds of stuff. She does wood turning, pen turning, scroll sawing, pyrography. But one of the things that kind of stood out for me was she's done a kind of a different kind of pyrography, and I kind of associated it with Steve, to be honest with you. The kind of pyrography she done was, and you'll probably like this, Steve. She done this pyrography wood burning with gunpowder. So she basically she drew a picture, put a template of gunpowder on the wood, and then just set fire to it.
Yeah, I've seen it done a lot.
The gunpowder just burnt away, and obviously left the burnt pattern away. So yeah, it looked really, really cool. So yeah, Law Woodcrafts on Instagram.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Mr. Twidell, you got anybody?
I do. I have a gentleman called William Hunt. He is a wood turner, an English wood turner, very good wood turner. And William turned a really beautiful sphere. He calls it the cold-hearted orb. It really is a stunning sphere that he turned. But he also turned like a natural edge vase type stand for it as well. And he goes through not only how to turn it, but he goes through all the tools and things that you'd use and stuff like that. So really cool video. Well done, William. And I enjoyed that. William Hunt.
Awesome.
I've also got a Stevie's page.
Oh God, please.
Because Jamie did forget to just mention our guest as a GoFundMe out there. And he was probably
I've already posted it.
He did put a link out there, but he has a GoFundMe because he does want a workshop, and he's got a bit of a GoFundMe to try and raise a bit of capital to help him with the workshop. So anyone that has a couple of quid spare, go over and help Dave build a workshop.
Surely Richard could have given him one of his 6.
Yeah, or Chris could send just a corner over, ship a corner of his over.
I could subdivide mine, but he'd have to move. I mean, I can only do so much from so far away.
Chris, if we rented him out some space, imagine what he'd do with it.
We could make some money. I know. We'll talk about this.
Yeah, he would actually use it, Chris.
Yeah. He could bring, if he had a quarter your shop, he could bring his car and do donuts in it as well.
Hey, you know, it's here. I mean, and you know, and what we're talking about is price. No, just kidding.
He could show you how to do chopping boards properly.
No, come on, seriously. If you can help Dave build his own sheds where he has a place, a dedicated place, and you can make Joe feel better about having a kitchen again as opposed to a lathe room, that would probably be very helpful. So if you have the opportunity, the link is out in the description. Jamie, go ahead and shoot me that on Facebook too, so I can put it in the description on Wednesday.
Yeah, all right, mate.
And
we'll do.
we'll get that taken care of for you, Dave. Richard, quickly, do you have a shout out this week?
I do have. You know, I have a shout out, but I'm guessing we have to do this like as if there isn't all pre-prepared. Because you actually gave me.
It's called a segue, Richard. Deal with it. Go ahead.
I thought that was like that little thing with the two wheels and.
Oh God, Lou, bathroom. Here we go. Anyway,
I'm right though. It is, isn't it? It is. It is.
Aluminum.
It is. Exactly. So my shout out this week is Mr. Tim Sway, our good friend over at the Reclaimed Audio podcast, which we very much like. We just think our podcast is a little bit better. He put a video out this week on. Genuinely, I've absolutely loved it. I'm so glad you put me onto this. He does. It's like a vlog style video, and he's talking about potentially a quite contentious subject. Certainly, if the way he talks about it and the angle that approach he takes about sponsorship deals and dealing with companies and brands and advertising and pricing and all that kind of good stuff. And I absolutely love this video, the way he delivered it, the way he kind of looks at it as a topic, and he comes up with some very good arguments, points. And
I have a hard time believing that anybody would have a problem with his outlook on that. I mean, I thought he expressed himself very eloquently, and I thought he made a lot of sense. So yeah, I will concur with that. Tim, great video, Tim.
Yeah, cracking.
My shout out this week comes from, and I don't know this man, and I would like to meet him someday. Are you guys familiar with Steve Hay?
I'm not.
He's probably one of my favorite Australian YouTubers.
Hey,
Steve, maybe you'll recognize
Pask and Sumo, obviously, and you know Dan, who's in the chat, and all the other.
Well,
people.
No, I said
awesome.
one of, but I mean he has a very successful YouTube channel, and I assume the majority of his audience is from Australia. But I've been watching this guy for quite some time. It occurred to me I've never given this guy a shout out or any love, and he has a YouTube channel. It's called Woodworking Masterclass. And he's a brilliant person. I love to watch his videos. He's got a lot of enthusiasm, and he's always got these tips and tricks for beginners and seasoned professionals alike. I mean, anybody at any level can get something out of some of his videos. So if you have the chance, check out Woodworking Masterclass. Steve Hay, he put out a video today that a lot of people, that if they're not aware of this trick, it's a pretty basic trick, and it goes back eons about how to get glass rings out of a finish from a tabletop and things of that nature. He did a quick video on how you can easily fix that. So if you want to check it out, that's the kind of things he does. He'll do something that simple, do something very advanced. It's a fun channel to check out. So if you have a chance, Steve Hay, Woodworking Masterclass, give that a look.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dave. I'm not interested about Steve's shout out. We want to talk about you. Who do you watch on YouTube, and who have you got that you're going to shout out this week?
Well, now I've had time to think about it. I watch a load of them, including like all 4 reviews. But the ones that I'd like to plug out, yeah, I know it's depressing for me as well, Steve. The ones I'd like to plug out is AH Bespoke. Andy is great. He's only got 112 subscribers, I think it is, but he's dead down to earth. He's a great maker. He's creating loads of things like to do with Vikings at the moment.
Have you seen the thing he's making for his kid?
Yeah, the Viking U-boat. Yeah, I've seen it. It looks. It will look fantastic when it gets out there. Then you got Steve at SK Crafts. He puts a video out every Friday. He's a cracking guy as well. And then obviously you got Pam. Highland Boxes. She's just amazing.
Well, her link's going to be in the description automatically because she sponsors one of the shows. So, Dave, if you wouldn't mind, shoot me the links to those other people's channels, and I'll make sure they get in the description on Wednesday. Yeah. So, awesome.
Will do. All
right, Richard.
Well, I was just going to say to everyone listening who still is listening, obviously, thank you very much. But make sure you head on over to Dave's YouTube channel and give him a subscribe, and also over on his Instagrams, because Dave, you put some pretty cool stuff out on both Instagram and on YouTube. I mean, I really like the whole just you know what? I'm going to do a live video now. I haven't prepared this, but I'm just going to crack on. That sort of raw, unedited, just real life stuff rather than the, production quality as like all the big names seem to be. And I genuinely like that. And that's kind of part and parcel of the inspiration, the edge that I sort of try to do with my live streams as well. Just like the real life stuff. That's cracking.
That's because I'm straight at editing. So that's the only reason why I do that. Because I can't edit to see right.
You and me both.
So yeah, but I do have different things on Instagram and Facebook. I try and keep them not separate, but they are the same. But then if they're on Instagram, they can see what I do there, and on YouTube, they can see what I do there. Sometimes I have them both or like connected in that sort of way. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, Dave, it's been a pleasure, and I'm glad I finally got to remember meeting you.
Yeah, it's been emotional.
I bet you're glad he ignores you now, aren't you?
Yeah. Dave's going to be taking that wide circle around my asset makers. I was like, oh, Jesus, there he is.
Most people tend to miss Chris anyway, unless they happen to just bend down and tie their shoelace.
Yeah, unless they drop something on the floor and they go, oh, there he is. All right. What's up, little man?
Hello, Wickle Quissy. How are you?
Let me pick him up and hug him. Yeah. Thank you. Shut up, Steve.
Nobody might go away.
I'm not. You know what? Steve has no right to talk. I think I'm actually taller than Steve. So shut up, Twidell.
No, you're not.
I guarantee I am.
You are, yeah. Stupid
awesome.
American.
We'll also, I think, Dave, try and get a link for Joe's Instagram and kind of presence as well in the shows as well, if that's okay with Chris, because
yeah,
why
Dave,
not?
send me all the links, brother. I'll get them in there one way or another. So send them. If I don't get them, it's not going to happen. So Dave, it's on you now. It's off. I'm not responsible. I'm not snubbing anybody anymore. It's not happening. So if it doesn't get to I can't do anything about it.
Trying to do a bathroom is taking 2 minutes away from me.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps up this evening. Dave, genuinely thanks for coming on. I know you had some issues trying to get on the pop-up one we did, and we've sorted that out, and managed to get you on finally. It's been an absolute blast, and I'm genuinely looking forward to meeting you properly again in person at Makers Central. So I'll make a beeline to try and track you down and meet you again. And unfortunately, Joe can't be there, but maybe the year after or the next time after. But yeah,
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
And
even though it's caused by Jamie, but yeah, I appreciate it.
But
go ahead, Richard.
I was just going to say, the people that are still listening, obviously a big thank you. And genuinely, Dave I've met him in person a couple of times. He is heart gold, salt of the earth kind of guy, and he deserves much love. So go and check him out. And if you can help out, please do so. But yeah, if you are still listening, thank you very much. If you're not, we will generally say whatever we like about you. And till then, next week we'll see you again. I don't know what's going on, but then I really do. So you take care.
We don't know either, but everybody have a great week. We'll talk to you later.
See you later, everybody.
To the loo.
Bye.